Welcome to the Sit Down and Heal podcast with Coach Derek. This is initially a test, but we're going to get this thing going. So let me just make sure that the live is doing what it needs to. It looks like it is. Welcome in, guys. Give me like literally 60 seconds. We're going to get started. Let me just verify that it's on YouTube. Feel free to comment. Just let me verify that YouTube is working and we can get this thing going. And we ain't going to be on here super long. Let's see. Yep, we are working. Feel free to comment. Come on in. All right, so we're going to get this thing started and then you guys can watch the replay. But I do want to verify that we are live on YouTube and Facebook. So please comment to verify that you are present and accounted for. All right, we're going to get started and then you guys can just jump in. Because we're normally going to do about an hour here. Then I'll chop it up and do what I need to do on the back end. So let's do this. So give me 60 seconds and then we'll start. Because this will be going on all major podcasting platforms. Boogie is in the building, y'all. And we're going to get it started. So give me 60 seconds and then we'll do the cutoff for the official podcast. So give me 60 seconds. We're going to get started. With 30. The Facebook look like it's up too, Boogie. All right, so let's get this thing started officially. Give me like 10 seconds. Welcome to the Sit Down and Heal podcast. My name is Coach Derek and I am your host. I am your certified healing journey coach and relationship coach, which means on this podcast and off, I will be bridging the two, the healing journey and the relationship, so that we can get both sides, because my goal is to get you to go outside wrapped in more healing than trauma. So this particular episode, you guys will be happy. This is episode 3, but there are 2 episodes there waiting for you that you can listen to 3 in a row instead of just 1. So let's get this thing going. We're talking about something that you guys asked for time and time again: people pleasers. The title of this show is the People Pleaser Paradox, because it's kind of weird. Like, we want to help people, but is it really hurting us? Where does it come from that we need to please so much that we don't even realize that it's hurting us internally, right? So I have some bullet points. I got some notes to keep us on task. And we're going to get through this thing, because this is information that I didn't necessarily know could be categorized like this, but it makes sense. And guess what, y'all? Some of us going to fit every last one of these things that I choose tonight. So stay tuned. Like I said, you're probably going to want to go back through this one when it's over, because it's a lot of good information that's about to come your way. I'm going to add a little bit of me in there too, because you know that's what I do. So let's talk about this people-pleasing thing. Some of us inherently do it. Some of us been doing it our whole lives. Most of us have. We tell people that we do it for people, and we do it selflessly. We don't do it for our own personal gain. It makes me feel good if they feel good. I'm no good if I'm not helping somebody else. I don't feel like myself unless I'm giving, right? But the piece that we always miss when we do this is, so who's taking care of you? Because a lot of times you aren't even the one taking care of you. And that's the problem. And we will push ourselves to the side for everything else in our lives. Most people pleasers put themselves last. So there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of torment going on inside of you that you may have normalized over your life. And you think that that's just who you are. But think about these words. Who I am is a person that does not take care of myself, advocate for myself. People pleasing, I don't even please me. I'm not happy with me, so I have to find it elsewhere, right? Sometimes we call that a little bit of external validation, right? So there are, let's see, one, two, three, four, there are six different types of people pleasers. Who knew that, right? Six different types of people pleasers. So we're going to go through each one and we're going to talk about it for a little bit, right? So let's just get it. Let's get into it. So the first one I have on my list is called the yes person. And the yes person, I'm going to read a definition for each one of them, and then we're going to put our little sit down and heal flavor on it. So the first one is the yes person. A yes person, and I'm going to read it first, is someone who literally says yes to everything, even if they would rather say no. There is a fear of letting people down. So if someone asks for help or you get invited to a night out that you would rather not go to, the no word feels too uncomfortable to say. Yes, people fear saying no, usually either due to fear of rejection or guilt about how the other person might be feeling, right? So, you guys know that I am your favorite healing journey coach. So, we have to ask ourselves, like we see yes people, we may be yes people, right? Depending on where we are, but most of the time we don't ask ourselves, where does it come from? Right? And so the tone of this show is about identifying these traits, but we also have to figure out where it comes from, because if we don't, we're going to keep doing it. So think about this. This yes person, right? The yes person is kind of one of those people in your friend group when you ask them, what do you want to do? And they're like, whatever y'all want to do. Some of y'all kids do it too because they don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't want to feel like their ideas are rejected. So they're going to say yes to everything. Right. And if you read up on people pleasing, right, just in short, it'll say something like, you know, kids who end up being adult people pleasers, they normally come from households that inconsistent emotions happen in that house. Inconsistent parenting happens. So they're always trying to search for a way to make the parent happy so they don't feel rejection, so they don't feel attachment, so they don't feel betrayed. So they grow up into an adult that kind of hyper does things to make sure that I internally feel safe because I didn't feel safe when I was young. This is going to be the tone through every single one of these that I go through, right? So a lot of us, we were and probably are yes people, right? But do we want to be? Your answer should be no, right? Because you have your own thoughts and feelings, right? The answer should be no, but it's yes. See what I just did there? They say my jokes don't land, y'all, but sometimes every now and then they hit, right? Y'all supposed to say yes. so so um so we got to think about this. And there's a comment that says to be, so when I say parents, I'm talking about when you were a kid, right? When you're a kid, most of us, when they don't necessarily mean parents per se, it means caretakers, right? Could be grandma, could be aunts, uncles, cousins. You're just a kid, so you're not out in the world. So when you grow up, you become this in your friend circles, you become this in your relationships, you become this in almost every part of your life, because it's how you know to keep yourself safe from the approval, from you doing things. So we're going to go through all the different traits. And then, like I said, some of us will fit all of these, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Most, well, they call them childhood wounds, is because it happens when you're small, when you're 5, 10, maybe in adolescent years. This is where you get your modeling for how you're going to become. Unfortunately, it sticks with some of us, even the things that kind of we do it and it hurts, but we still do it because it's all we know. And that's why you come to Coach Derek to help you with your healing journey. So we're going to move from the yes person and we're going to go to one of y'all's favorite ones, It's my favorite one too. We're going to talk about the empath and the fixer. Y'all know I talk about this a lot. If you've been following me over the years, I've been doing this for a long time. The empath and the fixer. That's me. That's y'all, some of y'all too. So we're going to read the definition and then we're going to talk about it a little bit, or maybe a lot of it, because this one hits home. So the empath or the fixer, this is very similar to the yes person, but more of a general feeling of being tuned into the emotions of others and feeling responsibility to fix them. So you know what? Let me read this first because I wanted to add on to it, right? An empath will fear saying no as they do not want to upset another person, but also generally worried about the people around them, right? I'm going to give you more context in a minute. You might be preoccupied with the needs of others and are prone to guilt if you cannot help them. You are likely to take the blame for things that are not your fault and feel guilty or worried if someone you are close to seems off or in a bad mood, right? Pay attention to that. Off or in a bad mood. We're going to come back to that. Being on hyper alert for the needs of people around you is draining, stressful, and leads to unhelpful decisions. So let's talk about this real quick, right? Let me explain. Let me go ahead and break it as someone I used to know in my life said, break it down like a fraction. We're gonna break it down. So the difference between this empath and the yes is the empath is more sensitive to emotion, right? We feel it, we take it in. And what we tend to do because we feel it from the people around us, from the people that are closest to us, is that we want to feel the need to control the outcome of other people's emotions. So if someone is sad, we want to make them happy because we feel it too. So indirectly, if we make them happy, then we don't have to feel the sadness. And in turn, we think it makes us happy. But those of us who do this know that you're going to be chasing that chicken for a long time because people's moods and emotions, they ebb and flow. And if you're in psychology, they call it a hypersensitive person. They don't necessarily say empath. When you're hypersensitive like that, you're emotionally monitoring someone all the time. When someone comes in the house and they're not, "Hey, is everything okay? What can I do?" But it's hyper, right? You're supposed to ask somebody how was their day. You look like you're having a bad day. But when you are hypersensitive, you want to be the one to fix it. You want to be the one to add the correction so that the mood changes. And then you get the wear the cape to say, I helped them do that. And that's what I need for me. But we don't realize that we are hypersensitive to doing this because of our childhood. We have to fix it. We have to help mommy. We have to help daddy. We have to make sure that I do well so that they don't reject me. We're gonna get there's more. There's more coming. There's more coming. I'm not gonna touch on that because that's going to touch on one of the other ones. But think about that. Think about if you were a kid that so here's the distinction, right? There's a couple of different flavors of this, right? I know this one very well, guys. There are kids that had to cater to their parents' emotions. And a lot of times they will bring that into their romantic relationships, friendships, or whatever. But there's another type of kid. There's another type of kid that the emotions from their parents weren't present. So they had to guess. They wanted it, but they had to guess how to maneuver because it wasn't present. This can sometimes create a very anxious attachment because you need to monitor and control the environment so much because you never had it. You want to try to make things happy, but it doesn't work all the time because you're dealing with a whole nother human being with a whole lot of other experiences or a friend group. It'll drive you mad if you don't learn how to manage it. Right. So we got to make sure that we look at ourselves a little bit, right? Like I said, I can help you understand this because we're in our own bodies, right? We're in our own brains, we're in our own experiences. And sometimes it's hard to step outside yourself when you're dealing with it right now, when it's a part of who you are, when you've normalized it, when you've grown up and you don't even realize that you're a people pleaser until somebody defines it for you. That's why I'm doing it tonight. Because a lot of us fit this. A lot of us had emotionally detached present detached parents or caretakers, but they were present, right? They functioned. They did what they were supposed to do. They bought you the toys. They took you to the games. They was there for everything, but the feels wasn't there. So when you get into a relationship, you want to make sure that you monitor the emotions because you inherently still needed it. You just didn't receive it. So now you want to, sometimes we will try to force someone to emote on us because we need it so bad. Y'all know, y'all clingy people. Y'all thought that's just who you are. It comes from a place. Think about it. So we're gonna move on to the next one because we have 4 more. We just getting started, y'all. So think about this. We did the yes person, we did the empath and the fixer, right? Most of us can stop right there. But wait, there's more. And most of us who are people pleasers, we're going to fit multiples of these. Trust me, just wait, it's coming. So think about this next one. Because we either are or we know someone like this. The next one is titled The Chameleon or the Comparer, right? So chameleon kind of gives you like a little, kind of know what a chameleon is. They kind of change and morph into whatever suits the environment, right? So let's give that definition and then we're going to talk through that a little bit. The chameleon is their people pleasing takes a chameleon quality. If you try too hard to fit in with others, you take on a chameleon quality when you try to fit in everywhere, right? So there's elements of the yes person in here too, right? We all do this to some extent, but you feel you need to be the same as others to be liked. Then it's not healthy, right? You want to be the same as everybody just for you to feel liked. Listen to the words I emphasize. Feel liked. These are things that come from kids. You need to do things to feel liked. It stays with us, right? So you may take on the views of others, try to have the same interests, or feel you can't do things that are important to you because of fear of what other people think. Ooh. How many people fear what other people think so much that you'll change who you are just to make sure that you fit? That stings a little bit for some of us, right? It can be hard to know that you're a chameleon as you may be so used to fitting in with others that you have lost touch with your own needs and want. Remember, I said that you're so used to doing this thing to make you feel safe, to make you feel like, to make you feel accepted, that you don't even see anything wrong with it. Because again, like I said earlier, it requires you to step outside yourself and see you in a different light. That's what we do here with the workshops and the shadow work and all of this stuff. It's going to help you pinpoint and become more aware of all of this stuff. Because once you become aware, become more self-aware, then you take control of your life. For some of us, for the first time, because we're pretending, we're being chameleons, right? So you are likely to often compare yourself to others or the lives they seem to be leading, right? Social media. And you think you need to be doing the same in order to feel worthwhile. Feel worthwhile, self worth. If it's low, you will have to do this to feel whole. So I hope y'all catching this. Ultimately, this leads to inauthentic living, which increases your risk of depression. Inauthentic living. That means you're not living your life as your true self. You're not living your life as your true self. Most of us don't even know who the true self is. We need therapy. We need coaching. We need to figure out who we are because we're not on this planet forever. We're not here forever. So while we're here, let's live an authentic, true, happy existence as much as we can. You know how many of us hide and we continue to hide because we feel like if we show our real self, somebody might judge it. Who's the judge? Your coworker? Your mama? Who's the judge? And how you 50 still letting them judge you? We got to work on that little kid. We got to work on that inner child. It's a childlike quality to hide because you don't feel accepted. It doesn't start when you're 50. So then we got to think about this, right? We think about our lives. We think about people around us, people that we've seen, even TV and movies. We see people change who they are depending on what environment they're in, right? But it takes an unhealthy turn when you need it in order for you to feel worthy. You're obsessed with being liked by everyone around you. And we tell our kids, everybody ain't gonna like you. You'll still go to school and you're still gonna go through life. Everybody ain't gonna be your friend. And then we grow up and we still try to perform and change in order to feel accepted. People, we do this inherently, but some of us it's an addiction. It's a part of our root programming is to chase the acceptance even if it doesn't serve us. Chase the acceptance even if it doesn't serve us. So now if you were to stand back, right, and like look at someone who's doing this, you'd be like, why would they do that? Why would they change things about them just to fit a crowd of people that don't even really like them? Like, why would they do what would make somebody don't even make logical sense? Listen to my words. It doesn't make logical sense because it's not logical. It's emotional. It's a wound that needs to be nurtured. And nurturing a wound isn't always good. Nurturing a wound sometimes could mean some dysfunction. You're nurturing the dysfunction because that's all you know. And I don't want people to get the distinction when I say dysfunction. Dysfunction doesn't mean that you're bad or that there's something wrong with you. It just means that you have to reparent your inner child and let them know that the dysfunction doesn't mean love. Staying around crowds and trying to fit in with people that don't like you, that you got to work on that. Because you will repeat it and you will keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And then at some point, you start to lose yourself. Who do you become? You become a clone of them. You like what they like. You dress how they dress. So you could be this person and a yes person at the same time. Because people pleasing, most of it comes from similar sources. So you could be the yes person, the empath, and the chameleon all at the same time. Because you're using different things for different parts of your life, but the goal is the same for you to feel safe, for you to feel accepted, for you to feel not betrayed, not abandoned. So if that is the goal, right? Think about this. If abandonment is trauma, betrayal is trauma, the need to be liked, trauma. And remember, if you follow me, when you deal with these things that trigger your trauma response, it's like life or death. You have to fix it. So in order for me to not feel anxious around these people, I got to be like them. And then I'll calm myself. Life or death. I got to say yes, or they're going to judge my no. I have to do it. Well, if you have to do it in order for you to feel safe, why would you stop? That's why this healing journey is very important. because you got to train yourself to stop, adjust, and become something better that doesn't need that validation in that way so that you can live an authentic life. A lot of us are over 30, over 40, over 50, over 60, and have never lived an authentic life. We lived the life that our parents wanted us to have. We lived the life that our kids wanted us to have. We lived the life that our spouses wanted us to have. Boyfriend, girlfriend, but we never really looked at us because we're too busy pleasing. I'm saying it's like this on purpose. We lived like that because we are too busy pleasing to look at ourselves. And you have to ask yourself, how long do you want to live like that? It's hard because not doing the pleasing is unfamiliar. It's uncomfortable. Who wants to not be comfortable? But you got to ask yourself, when do I become the authentic version of myself? What do I need to do? If I don't need to, if I don't know what to do, but I do know that I need to do it, who do I need to ask for help? I'll tell y'all who y'all can ask later. So let's keep going, y'all. We got 3 more left. The next one, y'all seen these people in school. Hold on one second. The chameleon got to go. Okay. So the next one, y'all going to know this one all too well. The entertainer. We're talking about people pleasers. So let's talk about the entertainer. Let's give the definition. The entertainer, in contrast with our image of the timid people pleaser, right? Because we think people pleasers sometimes are kind of like introverts and they doing what they got to do. The entertainer is loud. The entertainer needs to be the life and the soul of the party. They may be naturally outgoing anyway, like just naturally extrovert, but also think they need to be that way in order to be liked, right? So see, these are taking on similar tones. Remember, most people pleasing comes from a lot of the same origins. It just, we sprout out in different angles, but it comes from the same root. They might be naturally outgoing anyway. Okay, so they're doing it to be liked, not just because they're an extrovert. There's a difference, right? So they'll judge themselves if they think they weren't funny or clever enough when interacting with people socially. This leads to overthinking social interactions and not feeling good enough if they weren't able to perform and get the approval they seek. Listen to that. Perform. How many kids had to perform to get love from their parents? It doesn't go away. Y'all know these people. Let me tell y'all something. I know that we know a lot of people who can't turn off the funny. Y'all know people, they're never serious. They always trying to make jokes and make light of everything, even when it's like some torment. They still, it's too much because they need the attention, right? They got to make a joke in every room. They don't have a choice. They be like, you be like, aren't you ever serious? And then they make another joke. They can't stop. And these type of people, you looking at them and you like, how do they act in relationships? Like, do they ever turn it off? Do they ever, like, it's always funny all the time? Like you like everybody's not laughing with you. They can't stop. We know these people. They never gonna stop laughing. They gonna never. We want to laugh. We human, but all the time, 24/7, 7 days a week, you gotta keep being the center of attention all the time. Mm. It's a lot, right? That's a hard job to have, right? Every room, you gotta bring the attention on yourself. See, we don't see these people as people pleasers like the definition said, because they're so extroverted. Like they look like they having fun, but they can't turn it off because it's something deeper that's controlling it. That little boy and that little girl is saying we have to keep doing this for validation. Because if we don't, become the life of the party in every room, if we don't laugh all the time, joke all the time about everything, then we got to be quiet. And what happens in quiet? I'm with myself. And that's a scary place for me to be. I need validation all the time. Think about it. Somebody that needs validation all the time. They can't be by themselves. They got to be in every room. They got to always be outside because that's where they get their worth. And that's why one of the biggest things that I teach in my coaching is that we got to detach from dating, detach from all of these things so that we can work on knowing what it feels like to be with yourself and loving it. Solo dating, solo trips, right? A lot of my clients have started doing things that they would have never done because once you get comfort with yourself, then you have the power to control yourself. See, the paths that we walk on that end up hurting us, right, is because we lose control of our decision making, of all of these other things. And some of that happens because we don't want to be in our own space. So when we're in other people's spaces, we feel like we need to be there in order for us to feel like a whole person. And when you have that need, right? When you have that need, you ain't thinking logically anymore. You got to feed that trauma. Y'all know I'm going to keep saying this till I'm blue in the face. The little kid eats first. That inner child is going to get served by any means necessary. Right? So we talked about the yes person, the empath. We talked about the chameleon. We're talking about the entertainer right now. You know, I'm going to be honest with you, right? I've been up to this point, right? This is the fourth one. I've been all of these at some point in my life, right? I've been the entertainer too. You know, when my entertainer turned on was when I would go out socially to like a nightclub or whatever. I got off on being like the party starter because it made me feel validated, not just because I wanted to have fun. Right? I had to put that dude to sleep though, because these knees. But I've been the yes person. I'm definitely always the empath. The chameleon, absolutely. Because when you, especially introverts, right? You like to sit back and watch. You like to observe. You don't want too much attention on you. So you turn into kind of a chameleon to where you kind of fit into the environment. So the spotlight isn't on you, but you get validation from being in an environment where you start to become like them. Because then you could say they like me. But they only like you because you conform to being exactly like them. Right? So we're gonna go through these last two. Then I'm gonna let y'all go to bed. So this next two, I swear I've had these traits, like all of them. The busy bee is the next one. Some people pleasers always seem to be on the go and never feel like they can rest. Some of y'all, this gonna hit you in the gut. They may be busy with a list of jobs that have to be done perfectly or looking after everyone else, putting yourself last behind your work, behind everything else. Remember, I talked about that earlier. They feel guilty if they sit down or always seem to be doing things to keep up with others. At work, a busy bee may push themselves too hard to reach impossible deadlines or consistently answer inquiries, even if they are in the middle of things. Right? If you're doing something, you don't have a boundary that says, hold on, give me a minute. You got to stop what you're doing to serve whatever it is outside because you want to be liked. You want to be the one that everybody says they helped me when I came, even if it means it's a detriment to you. That's when it becomes a problem. It's no surprise that this kind of people pleaser is highly prone to stress. Highly prone to stress. If you keep putting yourself last, you will burn out. You will absolutely burn out if you go too hard, right? And we got to be careful with this because we know what stress does to us. We know what stress does to our mind, what it does to our bodies physically, our health, and all of that stuff. We got to slow down. We got to sit down and heal. Pun intended. We gotta breathe. I'm still working on this because I be I be get, I be getting it in, and I be like, wait, I didn't go outside. Wait, I didn't. I got to keep being reminded that I got to slow down. But as a person who has gone through his own personal healing journeys, in really understanding myself, I know my need to do that came from me being a kid who needed things to be perfect to get love. Not me, them. They needed me to be perfect. They needed not perfect in a sense like Jesus, but perfect like you get those rewards when you perform and not just because you exist, right? And to a kid, we get those rewards and then we have to keep doing it. We go to college, we got to be perfect. We get into a relationship. What do you need me to do? Okay, cool. I got it. Let me make sure. And they be like, wait, you did it wrong. What? Oh my God, let me fix it. And they be like, slow down. You don't have to fix it right now. And you can't stop. Why? Because there's something in you bubbling up. It's called trauma. You can't stop people pleasing. Can't stop overdoing. Because again, if you stop, you have to sit with yourself. If you put boundaries around the people that are trying to get you to do things while they know you're busy, you got to sit with yourself. That's a hard task for a lot of us, sitting with ourselves, understanding who we are, stopping some of the things that we've been doing our whole lives in order to get better. If I stop, I don't know who I am outside of this. I don't know who I am outside of being a parent. I don't know who I am outside of being a boss of this job. I don't know who I am. So if you don't know who you are, but you're comfortable pretending, being too busy, being a chameleon, all of these things, you're not going to detach from it without sitting down and pausing. You got to hit the pause button in order for you to see the world. Some of our schedules are so crazy that we can't even breathe. So if you don't stop, what do you think happens with that much stuff on you over time? It may not hit you now, but it's coming. I'm a true testament of stress. Like, I thought I could handle everything until that stress knocked on my door. I got a little older and I wasn't able to handle it as much, but I was still going. And your body says, wait, we ain't doing all this. Let me shut you down. We got to be careful. I want y'all to be here until they find that pill that you can take and it'll make you live forever, right? I don't want to live forever though. What if we, I'm good with about 150 years though. I got things to do. So yeah, think about this busy bee person. You got to slow down. Because sometimes it's not pleasing like your partner. It's not your mom. It's your job, right? Your boss and your coworkers. Doing too much, but not enough for us. So we got to sit with that. We got to breathe. We got to breathe. Y'all think I call my brand sit down and heal for nothing. We got to sit down before we check out of here. Happens to a lot of people. So we're going to get through this last one. And then we're going to get out of here. And then we'll talk about where you can find this. So now the last one. And I swear this is me too. The perfectionist or the overachiever, right? Ugh. Y'all don't know me. No, this one is me. If you push yourself at work, beat yourself up for making a mistake, or feel like you need to excel at everything, then this is me. It says you, but it's me. Having pride in your work is a good thing, but perfectionists are hate they hate failure due to a fear of rejection or a sense of shame. It can be good to work hard, but if fear of failure drives it, then you'll be more prone to stress and can be plummeted into self-criticism when things go wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me. I'm working on it though. I'm working on it. I swear I am, but it's hard. But again, it comes from childhood. All of this does. We just don't see it that way because we don't know how to make the assessment. And that's what I try to help you do. Because if you can make the assessment, if you can do the work to understand yourself, to heal from the things, to reparent the inner child, to do all of those things, then the trajectory of your life goes in a positive direction. It goes into a more authentic. Remember, we talked about authentic direction? Once you uncover yourself, you can't unsee it. You may make some mistakes along the way, but now you kind of know where these things come from. And so the key to healing, the key to getting coaching is not just to identify, right? Because I think a lot of people have an issue where they don't grow, but they can tell you what's wrong. They tell you exactly what's wrong better than a therapist can. But there's no growth because they don't know how to do the work. And not knowing how to do the work is because there was no one that ever taught us. So there are those of us who've gotten educated, we've compiled our life experiences, we know not just the words, but how to fix it. We coach, therapists, whatever. And we put you through something that's more structured so that you don't lean into your own understanding, because that own understanding sometimes betrays you. It probably has your whole life. It's time to move different. But in order to move different, you need new information and you need new tools. So this healing journey coach thing, I take very seriously, guys. I want you guys to win. We're not getting any younger. Most of the people that I attract to my platforms are over 30. We got to get this thing right. We have to be the light in our lives for us. Because once you take care of you, everybody else is gone. Everything else is going to follow suit. You know, we think that if we take care of everybody else, we'll eventually get to ourselves. How's that working out for you? It never happens because everybody's always going to want something. And then you know what a people pleaser does. Even if nobody, this is the wacky part of being a people pleaser, right? Even if nobody's asking you to do something, we will find a way to make something happen so that we have to do something for them. Isn't that weird? We will create a scenario where we have to go save or have to go fix. Or we will look at someone else's lives and be like, wait, you forgot this. Let me help you with that. You're going to find something to fix when you should be sitting down. We will impose, it's weird, right? Like we will impose our will on someone who didn't ask for it. I hope y'all catching what I'm saying. We will impose our empathetic, helpful self on people who didn't ask for it and aren't even willing to do what you say to get the help. You keep pushing it for yourself, not them. It's for you to feel validated and happy. They didn't ask you for that. Well, if you just do it this way, and if you just, you're a plumber, so maybe if you do this, then I can help you get a truck. And they be like, I didn't want a truck. I'm happy like this. Calm down. You can't stop yourself. So you're going to have to look at yourself in order to work on it. And if you feel like, you may have some of these traits or all of these traits and it's still on you. Like people will say, I know that this is a part of me, but I'm working on it. Some of us ain't working on it because we'll put the banner, we'll wave the flag that says, this is just who I am and it's never going to change. My zodiac sign says I'm going to be like this. But it hurts, right? And part of this title about the people pleaser paradox, sometimes helping hurts. It often hurts inside because we help too much. We do things to make ourselves feel validated and safe, but it hurts. You know what hurts most people pleasers is that people pleasers don't request or require reciprocity, but we want it. But we're not going to say we want it. We're going to say we're doing it out of the kindness of our heart. We want to thank you. We want some appreciation, but we will never because we have to keep pleasing. So if you never got it, but you need it, and you never speak about it, you will suffer. You will overextend and overdo until you pass out and won't care that somebody tried to help you or not because you got blinders on. So we got to work on that. We have to work on it or it will be on you for the rest of your life. And you would have never found out what it's like to please you. Because see, and I'm going to land my plane. Here's the other weird thing, right? When I say please you, make sure that you are good. Make sure that you take care of yourself. Someone could say that to us and we just won't do it. Because we think the other way works. And we'll just sit in it. And it's like, this is where all the things that I train you guys on, right? So guess what happens? Let me paint this little picture for you real quick. You understand that you're a people pleaser. You work on it. You get better. The people that's used to you doing it are going to scream. So now, not only are you becoming less of a people pleaser in an unhealthy way, now you got to work on boundaries because they're not going to like it. They used to doing everything. I don't know how many of y'all are like firstborn children or like the most responsible kid. You're expected to show up even when you got things to do. You're expected to show up. And when you start putting those boundaries up, ooh, it's hell to pay, right? The boundaries will only work if you do the work. Because if you put boundaries around yourself when you're in the height of your people pleasing without any healing, the boundary's not going to work. It's going to keep kicking in. So, what I offer you here as your healing journey coach is the opportunity to know how to heal, the opportunity to work on yourself, but not by yourself. I have an amazing system. If you go to my website, www.sitdownandheal.com, check it out, click on everything. I offer a one-time one-on-one strategy session where we can get a healing plan for you. And then I can spread you out to, what workshops you need or any other additional tools to help you on your way. I have a workshop library that has a ton of resources for you to get started. I also have a healing journey bundle for you new healers to get you started. So there's a lot of stuff there, ebooks, workbooks, journals. Go check everything out. Price points are, they're tiered. So if something is out of your range, there's something in there that is your range. So get the sentiment to me saying all of this is you don't have a reason not to get started, but you got to get started. and stop rescheduling your healing. So I'm going to wrap this show up. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, your favorite healing journey coach, Coach Derek. And the Sit Down and Heal podcast is live. So I'm going to see you guys every single Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook. So find me. The links are on the website. So I will see you guys next week. And I hope that you will listen to me, not just on YouTube and Facebook, but we also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all platforms that do the audio podcast as well. So keep following me, keep learning with me, keep healing with me. And if you come back enough times, hopefully you'll be inspired to sit down and heal. I'll see you guys next week. Have an amazing day.